Darren, just what are your reflections on the performance tonight, and obviously the campaign as a whole this World Cup?
Yeah, I mean it's probably still sinking in, that we're out and that we have to go home. This was a tough evening tonight. We knew we would have to survive. We knew that when Belgium put their team sheet in, that this is a really strong team. And the first 20 minutes was tough. Staying in the game, surviving, and I thought the guys did a great job defending. Last gasp defending, emergency defending. And we were staying in the game, and that was what the plan needed to be. We needed to stay in the game as long as we can, open the game up second half, and try and win the game tonight to get that win that we wanted. But then we conceded a really poor goal, and then we have to chase a game because this is a team that are not just going to go, let's lose 2-0. We opened the game up, made a lot of attacking changes. And against a team like this, you run the risk of conceding goals like we did. But, when I look back, I'm so proud of the players. They worked so hard today. But, our World Cup exit isn't really tonight. It was, when we're leading twice against Iran and leading against Egypt. They were the points that we needed to qualify out of this group, and we didn't do that, and we left ourselves a tough task to beat Belgium tonight.
Okay, over to you guys.
Darren, Jason Pine, News Talk ZB New Zealand. Was there anything that you could have done differently tonight, do you think?
Yeah, we could have defended a corner better. Football's all about moments. Like I say, we've conceded goals tonight, but for lots of that game, we defended really well. Defended heroically at times, blocking crosses, blocking shots, defending our goal. But it was, they're a very good team. Throughout the whole team, littered with, top players in top leagues, and they're a very good team. They don't lose the ball, which means they're so good in possession. It means they can make runs and and find each other. And yeah, like I say, it was tough. It was tough for us to live with. We needed to get to half-time 0-0, and we didn't. Then I think you'll see that we went for it. We made changes. Got some pace on in the wide areas, and and then conceded, which doesn't help because then we opened the game up even more and took a 6 off, went to 2 10s with Callum, and we tried to get back in the game. We weren't going to just leave this World Cup, defending a 2-0 loss. We wanted to try and score, try and get back in the game, and but unfortunately we got punished a few 2 times, and the late goals hurt, but. Like I say, tonight wasn't really where we didn't qualify for the group stage, knockout stage. It was, probably our first 2 games where we had better opportunities to pick up points than probably tonight.
Okay. Go again.
Can I ask about Eli Just? A goal again tonight. That's 3 now this World Cup. Is this a launching pad for Elijah to go on to bigger things at club and international level?
100%, it has to be. I thought tonight he was outstanding. He's one of our players that is able to live at this level. I felt, he didn't really give the ball away. He got into little areas and he was able to wriggle out of tight spaces. He got turned face forward. He did look bright throughout the game and capped that off with a really nice goal. And gave the fans something to cheer about. The fans have been great. They've travelled a long, long way, as you have. Travelled a long way to come here to support the boys, and the boys really felt the support that they got and the love. And they're so disappointed that, the journey's ended for us and for the fans. The fans have been amazing. And we gave them a little moment, but, tonight wasn't our day.
Ben Guel, Associated Press. You mentioned before the game that drawing Belgium last was kind of a good thing for New Zealand because they could have been sitting on 6 points and it could have played out a little bit differently. Is that something you're thinking about, that Belgium really needed to win this game and how things could have shaked out differently in the group beforehand?
Yeah, I mean, this World Cup is throwing up surprises all over the place, and football never goes to plan as such, So, yeah, I think when you saw the draw and we knew we were playing these last, you probably expected them to already be on 6 points, and that maybe could work in our favour. But like I say, we needed to pick up our points in the first 2 games, and we gave ourselves the opportunity to do that, and we didn't take it. And that meant tonight was going to be a tough game. And had we stayed in the game, maybe the game could be differently. But once we went for it today and opened up spaces, they took advantage of those spaces and punished us with some really good finishing.
I know 2030 seems a long way away, but there are players who are, at the age that they could go another World Cup or more. How much benefit do you think a number of these players will gain from the 2026 World Cup with an eye on future World Cups?
I think this is massive. We don't play these games, not World Cup games, but we don't play competitive games. We obviously go through our qualifiers in Oceania, and then we spend the rest of the time playing international friendlies. And we can call them FIFA series and try and put points on them for games, but you can't replicate this where it's brutal and ruthless. And this is, and for some of our players, that are not playing in the Premier League or not playing in the top leagues, like a lot of the Belgium guys are, playing in Italy and Spain and the top leagues. We don't get enough of those moments for the players to feel it, for the players to really live in those moments that we've had at this World Cup, whether it was the Egypt game or the Iran game or tonight. Most of these players are going again. Most of these guys will be back in 4 years' time, and they will be better for it, and they have to be better for it. If we're going to get to where we all want to, which is into those knockout games, and we have to be better in moments. We've sort of said it all through the tournament. Football's about moments. We need to be better in the defensive moments, no lapses of concentration. I think I said that yesterday, where for us to win today, we had to be flawless, and when there was a corner, we weren't. And suddenly you're 1-0 down and the game's different. But they'll definitely learn from it. This is a great group of players that have got a really great future, bright future, both individually at clubs, and together. They'll definitely be better for it because it'll hurt, and it should hurt because we're at a World Cup and now we're going home, so it should hurt. Having to go home and watch the rest of this World Cup on the telly, it'll be difficult.
Just at the back.
Patrick Johnston from the province here in Vancouver. Just to follow up on that point, the expanded World Cup has opened up opportunities for teams like yourself. What would you like to see to maybe help bridge the gap for teams like you, for other smaller nations that are getting this opportunity but need more reps, as you said?
I think, if you've watched us play this tournament, I think you'll see that we have closed the gap. We went toe-to-toe with Iran, and that was a great game of football, and we probably should have won the game. And we gave Egypt, who, got world-class players and a very good team, we gave them a really good game. And again, so I think the gap is closer, but, we're still playing against teams full of Premier League, Serie A, Liga players. For us, we probably need some of our players to follow the similar path. We have Chris Wood, who plays in the Premier League. Apart from that, we've got players playing in good leagues, MLS, Norway, Denmark, Championship. So we need some of our players to now go to the next level and, and go and play alongside Woodsy in those levels. And that will help us when we come to these games where we're competing against top players.
Any further questions for anybody? Okay, in that case, we will leave it there. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good evening. This is the final press conference for tonight.